left you without a dope beat. Step two, step two, step two, step two, step two, step two. It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a dope beat. Step two, step two, step two, step two, step two. Baby girl,
What would you do to get to me? What would you say to have your way? Would you give up or try again if I hesitate?
Okay, welcome to Hump Day. Welcome in. It is Wednesday, and you are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I, of course, am your host, Jill Munroe. I hope you are having an amazing evening. But now, it's time to get comfortable, relax, get a beverage, chill out, because we are going to get into some topics tonight. Right? So, before we give you the rundown on all of the things that we're going to get into tonight, first, have you downloaded the app? Make sure you have the app downloaded. You can take us with you on the go. Make sure you are following us on all of our socials. KBLA 1580. Me personally at Stiletto Jill. If you're into YouTube and you want to get the visual with the voice, hit up the YouTube chat. There's a nice community there. There's lots of conversation that comes up in there. It's definitely something you want to check out to add and enhance your experience. We appreciate that, of course. Now, let's get into what we are going to talk about tonight, because it's a lot, it's fall. Football's coming back tomorrow. It's New York Fashion Week about to kick off. Beyonce just did her thing. Of course, I talked about that last night because, yeah. But anyway, this is the rundown. I mentioned Beyonce. Why? Because is it just jokes, or does Erykah Badu really have some type of beef, something with Beyonce? We'll get into why and what's going on with that. Speaking of B, Jay-Z's having a fundraiser. And I have to share the details with you and how much it costs to attend this fundraiser. Let me let you know. It's a lot. Also, speaking of funds and money, LA is planning to join some other cities that are saying no to cashless stores. They're saying that cashless stores might just be, a little racist. Little insensitive to some of the communities that they're in. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Tyrese's ex-wife. She's taking accountability for something. And seems to be that she's talking about Tyrese, but it's an interesting conversation. We'll get into that. Colombus Short spoke about his one-sided beef with Denzel Washington. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty unique. And when you hear the details and the follow-up, we're just going to have a conversation like we always do. It's interesting. Also, we're going to talk about Allen Hughes. He is dropping some hints that a certain New York rapper that we referenced earlier that we'll be discussing tonight, seems like this is who he was referencing, benefited from the deaths of Biggie Smalls and Tupac. So we'll get into what he had to say and, have a conversation. And then we're going to talk a little relationship stuff because Stephen A. Smith has an interesting perspective on relationships and what goes on with his status. And, surprisingly, I may just agree with Stephen A. to a degree. We'll talk about that. But before we get into tonight's show, of course, I have to mention that we have in studio with us tonight, as we do every Wednesday night, our Keep It Real friend, Trent Jackson, Trent the artist. He is in the building. Of course, we're going to have our Tubi movie review later and all of that. We're actually going to have a special Tubi movie review conversation tonight. So make sure that you are tapped in for that. But we're going to get into a couple of conversation starters, just some things that are bubbling around that I think you need to know about. So, Sexy Red, she seems to be the new it rapper girl right now. And she has revealed that, she recently released a single with Lotto. Well, she's working on a song with Brent Faiyaz. So I think that is going to be an interesting combination. I'm not sure what that's going to sound like. They're two styles together. But I'm interested. I'm going to wait and see how it all goes down. So she dropped that on social media. So, I mentioned Erykah Badu, right? And so everybody had jokes about the Renaissance tour, right? And about everyone in their chrome and showing out. But some Beyonce fans, and the Beehive is sensitive, thinks that Erykah might have a really real beef with B. Because Erykah posted to her stories a photo of a man covered head to toe in aluminum foil, and the caption was, "How most of y'all looked at Beyonce's show." So we know what happened a couple of months ago about the hat, and Beyonce showed love. Now, here's why it might be a little sketch. Of course, some Beyonce fan pages noticed it, right? And instead of just saying, it's a joke, it's Renaissance, Erykah immediately deleted it. And so, of course, they screenshot it and spread it around. So they're wondering, is Erykah just being funny like everybody else that was talking about the chrome? There were jokes about how everybody was poor when it was first announced that Beyonce's tour was coming. Then all of a sudden everybody was rich and had Beyonce ticket money, like way more than McDonald's money back in the day. So I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. We'll get into more about some, Jay Beyonce stuff later. But well, actually, let's talk about the Jay stuff now. So I mentioned he had a fundraiser, right? He has a fundraiser coming up. It has a movie-inspired theme. It's a select group of A-list people that are going to be coming September 30th for a Casino Royale 007 party. Now, I will give you the details of who, what, when, and why when we come forward. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability that is directly impacting your ability to work, resources are available to help you find employment. VA's Veteran Readiness and Employment, or VR&E, can assist you with finding a job that uses your existing skills. Or, if you're interested in exploring a new field, a VR&E counselor can help you determine the right education or training options for a new career. Find out if VR&E is right for you by visiting va.gov/VRE today.
When my family does Walt Disney World Resort, we do it big.
Bippity boppity big, like Cinderella Castle.
Big, like those juicy turkey legs from Gaston's Tavern.
It doesn't get any bigger than the Tam Tam Drummers. Get it, Grandma?
Yeah, and big like Goofy's kicks. Oh, yup.
It's your world, so do it big at Walt Disney World Resort.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, before we came forward, we were talking about the Jay-Z fundraiser that's set to take place September 30th with A-list celebrities with a Casino Royale 007 theme, right? So this is according to page 6. It's going to be a blackjack bash, right? It's going to take place in Atlantic City at the Ocean Casino Resort, and the jackpot is $1 million. So there's a guest list of 300 people. And, of course, on the rumored guest list are Beyonce, naturally, Travis Scott, Megan Thee Stallion, Tom Brady, Kim Kardashian, and more. Kevin Hart is going to be the host. And there's going to be 10 to 15 helicopters that are going to fly guests back and forth from New York City to the event. If they're going to get into the blackjack game, it's a $100,000 buy-in. And if you simply just want to attend the event, $50,000. And it's for Reform Alliance, which was founded in January 2019 by rapper Meek. Well, after Meek Mill was sentenced to a maximum of 4 years behind bars and was eventually released. And it has to do with bail. So, if you had $100K, would you drop it for charity and go ball out with Jay and Beyonce in Atlantic City to play blackjack? Trent Jackson.
Hi. Yes. Hi. I would actually go because I love blackjack. That's my favorite casino game.
That's the only one I really know how to play.
Well, I like craps too, but I love blackjack. So I would definitely go if I was, in the know and had the money and the access for sure. Sounds like a fun time. I don't know about the helicopters, but
right, that feels a little. I'm not. I used to really want to do helicopter.
Well, I've been in a helicopter twice, and once was actually in New York. I took a helicopter from New York to Washington D.C. Never again. Petrified.
That seems too far.
It was. I'll show you the helicopter that it was.
That seems too far.
It wasn't a normal helicopter. It was
a deluxe model.
It was a heavier aircraft. Maybe could have been a government helicopter.
Okay.
So, and then I did a helicopter like over the city of LA a couple years ago. Wouldn't do that again. That was actually a police helicopter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
there a story?
Not in a bad way, but
okay.
like a ride along type situation.
I mean, I know, but there might still be a story. A ride along could be exciting.
It was cool. It was like, oh, you want to come ride? I was like, are you serious? Like, ride up in the police chopper? Like, yeah, of course. Like, who do I get clearance from? Let's go. It was cool.
But not something you do again.
Never.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jay is having that September 30th. Sounds like a key.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be a fun time. It sounds like a fun party. Like, and for charity, like that's that's really nothing for that crowd.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So we talked about Diddy last week,
we
right?
did. Shout out to Sean
And
Combs.
so I knew when this came up, we talked about it last night on the show, but I wanted to get your take. Does this make you feel, because this is what you said he needed to do, and a week later, here he is doing it.
He did it. That's because they listen to what I say and they do it. I'm like the unofficial spokesperson. They listen to me. They take my guidance.
Shout out to them checking out RSVP.
Yeah, they all listen.
They all listen. But so seriously, he's done that, right?
Yeah.
His $1 million donation to Jackson
Which should have been
State.
more.
You can't say what somebody should do.
Well,
with
you
their
shouldn't.
money.
You shouldn't tout around. I'm a billionaire. It screams, "Look at me. Look at my money." pay attention.
Here's the thing. He's been talking about that, right? In his keynote at Earn Your Leisure Invest Fest about 2 weeks ago, who he also gave $1 million. You know, they have their financial literacy platform and so forth. He said that the idea of celebrating black billionaires is false equivalency, and that it's an illusion. And based on the fact that there's so few and it's so hard to get there, you know, he wants to open the door for more. And it's a lot of work. And there's still a lot of barriers that happen within that. And the numbers are still so small within that. So he's saying all the right things.
But that still doesn't understand why he's bragging about it.
You think that's bragging? Or do you think it's a conversation? Because here's the thing, right?
And maybe because, again, Sean Combs is such a polarizing figure, and we want to take him at what he's doing as a good nice thing, but we also know this is Puffy that we talking about, and because we were here for the antics that he's kept up for the last 30 years, we know not to really trust Puffy just because he says something. We got to look at it and be like, okay, what's up, Sean? Like, tell me everything I need to know. And we got to go over like that 8 times. And then it's a lot with him. So we naturally should have reservations about what he's doing. Because we've been there and we know. We know what we're dealing with.
I mean, he can't change with time. People.
Sure he can. Anyone can. But come on.
Come on. Okay. Ye of little faith.
I love it. And it's not little faith. I'm just saying, if you're going to do this, be more about the action and then talk later.
Okay. I mean, but he is being about the action. He's donated money to Howard University.
I think he's
recently.
About the action while also telling us what he's doing while he's doing the action.
But that's the game, right?
Not necessarily. Do it and talk about it later. Have more of an impact, and then have people come and tell stories and really vouch for what you're doing, so it can oh, okay, yeah,
okay, I can see that approach. I can see that.
Yeah, and then that way we trust you more, and it's not like this. I'm on a cleanup campaign to right my wrongs from 20 years ago, by simultaneously giving back artists their rights and handing out all this money.
Here's the thing, though.
It looks weird to me.
But this is where you and I disagree too. Like I get this is a certain thing. Mm-hmm. It's just that I still say, to a degree, the overarching theme that Puffy is a crook in every way is like then the entire music industry.
Did I say he was a crook?
No, I didn't say he's a crook. I'm just talking about the general, what people say. Like their issue with him and them saying, he took those people's publishing rights. He did this and
he left Total in the projects.
And I'm not saying that but what record label, what job do you have that once you are out of your contract or moved on is still responsible or concerned for your welfare?
Not many. Yeah.
Right? Not many. How many are still expected to make sure that you have a base standard for quality of life? So, I mean, and then on top of that, if every other label operates in the same way, I don't know. Like, is the idea that they might have gotten a better way as far as their music royalties catalog if they were signed to Arista proper or something like that? I just disagree because I think, one, that was the industry standard. Not saying it wasn't messed up. Not saying that, people didn't deserve more in the way that it's broken out, but also considering that it's business, and if someone is putting out the money that it takes to break an artist, especially back then when, there were less ways, there was more gate-kept areas, and the independent route was still very, very expensive. I kind of don't know what you're supposed to do. Are they supposed to donate that portion to charity? Chalk it to the game?
And I agree with all those things, totally. But there's also something to be said for multiple artists coming out with stories, how they've had bad experiences with him. And I see both sides of it, but I think
I see
there's
both
I think
sides.
there's also something to people. I don't think people are just, oh, come on, let's just rally up and talk about Sean today and talk about how
No, I mean,
I don't think it's any of that is going on.
I don't think it's any of that, but I do think that, and I think it's unfortunate for us as a people, and it's been reoccurring, and it's been not just black people, but I'm focusing on black people because I'm black, and um, that is as far as the music industry, entertainment in general, because those seem like glamorous jobs in whatever capacity, because they come with a higher profile. People are willing to roll the dice more often than not and say, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because that's how you move around, you move ahead. Big risk, big reward. But I don't know. I don't think that per se he's as
Dirty as people make him out to be.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that he's totally clean,
Clean,
or
yes.
an angel, or that
Uh-huh.
everything was do 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 do. I'm not saying that.
On
I
up
just
and up,
think
yeah.
that I think people underestimate too. Also, what people are told and what people are willing to do in the moment, right? Because at what point is it, all right, we're doing business, right? And I'm telling you something, right? But I'm also saying, hey, but this is bad for you, right? Where do you weigh in? Like, at what point do you override your own good sense? Or do I allow myself to say, well, he said okay. Does that make you taking advantage? I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on the situation,
and
right?
yeah, and I wasn't there, so.
Right. I don't know what the
But
conversation
what I
is in the room.
what I will say is that it's a nice feeling, and it's nice to know that whatever happened with shady deals, they're being made amends now.
Right. I mean, time heals all wounds. And as I mentioned last night, I think there's a 35-year cap or something like that
Yes.
as far as ownership. We we passed the 30-year mark, so
Yeah.
it's time for some.
That was Auntie Anita's gripe a couple years back. It was time for her to get her just automatically, and but it's nice because it's 35 years and it's only 30, so it's like it's early.
Yeah, there's a little bonus.
A little window. Yeah. That's cool.
Some people still aren't happy. Oh, it's all right.
Can't win them all.
Cannot. All right. Speaking of accountability and taking up for some things, we've been talking back and forth about Tyrese and his divorce, and we know when Tyrese goes through a breakup, he uses the internet to console himself or to share his experiences.
He's a water sign, right?
No, he's an earth sign. He is a Capricorn.
Interesting.
He is a Capricorn. So
I don't know why I thought he was a Cancer.
Maybe he has a Cancer moon or something. He is definitely
interesting.
A Capricorn.
That is very interesting to me because he be going through it on the internet.
I bet you he has a water moon.
Something, because I'd never know a Capricorn to go through it like that on the internet.
Right. Well,
crying.
So, what are you trying to do?
Like,
I should not laugh at his pain. Let me stop that.
I'm not laughing at it either, but
what
like,
more do you want from me?
Exactly. See?
Thank you,
exactly.
Andy. Thank you. You got it.
How is Andy? I haven't seen Andy all night.
Andy's in the building.
Yeah, Andy's back there.
Here's the thing. We know that Tyrese is going through a divorce. He's come out and said that any man that gets with his ex-wife needs to understand what they're in for, and they see how she's treating him, and blah, blah, blah. It's nasty, and it's very public, right? Well, Samantha Lee Gibson, that's his ex-wife, she recently did a live. And so she was talking about mistakes that she's made in past relationships, right? And that she needs to take some accountability.
I love accountability.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She, they began dating in 2015, got married 2 years later, right? And so she had I think it was about a 4-minute live. And she talked about the destruction of their relationship, and where she had to take accountability at is because she devalued herself and she operated within the marriage with a sense of fear, She said, I'm looking back on relationships, and I see that I was the problem. Why was I the problem, Sam? I was the problem because I didn't see me accurately, because I didn't see myself well. I didn't see my value. I didn't see who I was. I didn't see those things. I think that I accepted things I shouldn't have for way too long. I allowed people to dictate the terms in which I would accept without really having a great understanding of who I was. And therefore, I stayed in relationships way past their expiration date. So she, didn't say any names or which relationship, but, seems to be she was pointing to a certain one. She said accepting the bare minimum and not realizing that there's a part of you that feels like you only deserve the bare minimum isn't the best space. And she said, I have been wrong and I have chosen wrong. She said she had a scarcity mindset. That sounds like something we should have got Zoe Williams' thoughts on this. This is his area of expertise, but what do you think about that?
I agree with all of it. I've been in that point before in self-discovery, in relationships. I actually talked about that last season on my podcast, kinda, sorta, in a way. But I get it. And it's interesting that she did this live. It's like, was it almost like a rebuttal to something?
A response because,
in a way.
Like I said, he's been saying that she's a gold digger and that she, always said that she was not like the other celebrity wives and she would never do, she was appalled at some of the things and Tyrese was like, and here you are acting just like them. And what I think he doesn't understand, maybe he'll understand now, that when you're in a relationship, if you repeat the same mistakes and, think that you can treat a person as an object that you can control, they're probably going to wake up and respond in similar fashion. Seems to have happened one time or two times before with him. I don't know. You might want to consider that.
Tyrese and Miss, what's her name again? The girl?
Samantha.
Miss Thing. Everybody just needs to time out off the internet.
Really? Just
for a couple days. And this was the opportune time to do it while Mercury is retrograde. Just be quiet right now. Don't say nothing, because it's not going to make no sense to nobody. Not even you. You going to make a live and look back at it and be like, why did I do that?
Well, when we come forward, we'll have more on Sam and Tyrese.
That's why I've been off the internet all week.
We're also going to get into Colombus Short and his one-sided beef with Denzel. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580 News and Sports. Up next.
Now that one.
Dust yourself off and try again. Dust it off and try again. Try again. First you don't succeed.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Federal prosecutors plan to indict Hunter Biden by September 29th on gun charges, according to a court filing. The president's son had agreed to a plea agreement that would have spared him jail time for allegedly purchasing a gun as a drug user. The deal had Hunter Biden entering a diversion program, but the agreement fell apart in court in July. That plea deal also included tax evasion charges, but it's unclear where those now stand. Chicago's temporary casino could open very soon. Bally's has scheduled practice gaming sessions to take place at Medina Temple for the Illinois Gaming Board today and tomorrow. If all goes well, the casino could open this weekend. The temporary location will operate until a permanent one is built at the location of the former Chicago Tribune printing plant in River West. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Come to Dodger Stadium on September 19th when the boys in blue take on the Tigers for Dia de los Dodgers, presented by Hornitos. Purchase a special ticket pack to receive an exclusive jersey. For tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/ticketpacks.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 is inviting you to join us on Saturday, September 16th, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for our very first economic empowerment event for the community. This event is free and is powered by Caltrans. We're doing this in association with Rambo House, and here's Rambo to tell you more.
Contracts. I'm going to say it again for all of us small business owners out there. Contracts. Rambo House, KBLA, Tavis, me. Oh my God, this is going to be massive. I truly thank Caltrans for giving us the opportunity to focus on contracts. Listen, that's what it's all about to be a small business in LA. That's how we hire our own. That's how we expand our community is contracts. KBLA1580.com is for you to have a seat at our contracts-focused event. Contract Ready does it again. We had over 900 last time. So you guys know how exciting this is. And if you just think that you want to get into contracts and you're close to it, bring your friends out for September 16th at the Marriott Hotel. Listen, you know where to register. KBLA1580.com. Come see me. I can't wait to see you. Let's do it, Tavis.
So be sure to go to KBLA1580.com for all the details. We'll see you Saturday, September 16th.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
That's what it feels like.
I was gonna say 97.
Yep. It's gotta be the first Tyrese album when he was in the Lolo Eye. Yep. Shout out to Black Tie. Shout out to you. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You know Andy's on point. You just got to give him a little prompt and he takes care of the rest. Andy.
Remember he used to host MTV Jams back in the day?
Yes, I do.
With Ananda Lewis and all them.
Bill Bellamy would sometimes come in and host
Bill
that.
Bellamy was the guy. I missed them days.
Man, MTV
That's
Jams
when he had
used to be
this piercing in the chin.
Yep, when he had the chin piercing
Yeah.
and he would be on Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
And that wife beater all the time.
That's right, back of the bus.
Yep.
The Coca-Cola commercial.
Yep.
Come on, man, though. Like, that's the thing. I enjoy Tyrese as an artist.
Tyrese had some really good R&B,
Sweet
some
Ladies,
bangers, but some beat cuts on those
Signs.
albums, though.
Yeah. I mean, I Like Them Girls. Shout out to Jay Valentine. He wrote that.
He had some hits.
I mean,
Wow,
but
Tyrese.
you know, I think though, and I've had this conversation with some friends, and it's impacted, you know, different ones differently. But I think that becoming a child star, right? 14, 15, 16 years old, sometimes younger, it can impact people differently.
Yes.
You know, their expectations as they move through life, how they kind of see the world interact with them and how they interact with it. Because having that type of fame or attention at such a young age can at times skew some things, you know? So sometimes I feel like, you know, there might be some of that going on with Black Ty. That's what he called himself, not me.
Well, and then too, just considering what we know about him growing up in Watts and all those things. So just to come from that and then to be thrusted into a situation
with so much money, so
yeah,
young.
I'm sure that's a lot.
So true story, and they've talked about this on the R&B Money podcast. Jay Valentine used to say, because he wrote one of Tyrese's early hits, he said that Tyrese used to call him up and just want him to come over and just come sit with him and hang out, because he didn't trust that many people because of the situation that he was in. He didn't really want a lot of people at his house. And so he knew that this guy wrote as well, so he would just like always want him to come and hang out with him. And dude was like, you know, I got stuff to do, but you know, I'll come through sometimes. But it's crazy. I feel for Tyrese.
And then that makes total sense why he's on social media acting crazy.
Maybe something.
But no, but it strikes me as odd because I have friends that call me on the phone and be like, you need to delete that last tweet, or you need to take that video down.
I think people tell Tyrese that. I think he just doesn't listen. He doesn't. I mean, I think he's like,
I don't listen sometimes too.
this.
But then I'm thinking of one of my friends right now. Shout out to my good girlfriend Karen. Well, you met Karen before. She don't play games like that. She will drive to my house and be like, "Give me the phone." Because you tripping, we ain't doing all that, right? You work way too hard for this. Stop playing.
Tyrese got to buzz people in, so maybe they can't get back in.
Listen,
Pretty Brown
you know I got to
BB
get around my house too, but still.
Says Tyrese should seek therapy, focus on his kids and his girlfriend and his career. Hopefully he'll come to terms with his paying high child support / alimony. I'm just saying. Urban Spinster says, in addition to being an attention-seeking Capricorn, Tyrese has mommy issues and childhood trauma.
Can I just say I love the Urban Spinster? And she has really nice nail polish, too.
Okay. Look at that. Personal touch. Well, you know, of course, if you guys are interested, 800-920-1580. We always love to hear your commentary. Feel free to call in and to discuss this or any of the other issues. Now, from one interesting actor / performer to another interesting actor / performer. It's funny, I was watching Stomp the Yard just the other day.
Oh, Stomp the Yard.
Like, that's a really,
yeah.
This was a good film.
It was.
It was. So, Colombus Short.
Uh-oh. You know what?
Well, what did you think the Stomp the Yard reference was?
I didn't know. There could have been anybody from Stomp the Yard. Like, there could have been a number of people. But that Colombus Short?
Mm-hmm, Colombus Short.
I thought that we left him in Olivia Pope's garage that time, and we haven't looked back.
We did not. He's still around. So, Colombus Short.
Performing those songs drunk on stage somewhere?
Says meeting Denzel Washington bruised his ego.
It would bruise mine, too.
To the point. Why would it bruise your ego?
Oh my God, I'm petrified of Denzel Washington.
Why?
I just am. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. It bruised his ego to the point that he had to name his son after the actor so that he would feel less emasculated.
What does that even mean?
Well, we're going to listen to the clip and you see if you can figure it out. We don't have a clip. Okay, so this is what happened. When Colombus auditioned for the role of Henry Lowe in, what is it, The Great Debaters? He said that he had to go through multiple rounds. And he had a scene with Denzel. And there was a room full of studio execs. And he said that it just wasn't a good experience for him. And ultimately the role went to Nate Parker. And he said that he felt like Denzel was playing mental warfare with him.
I can totally see that. And I have a response, but go ahead.
And that, you know, it's always bothered him. And so much so, he finally did a film called Armored with Lawrence Fishburne. And this whole conversation happened, by the way, on the Moguls in the Making podcast, right? He said that Lawrence Fishburne was a mentor to him. And that's something that he said that he expected from Denzel. He said instead he suffered a bruised ego and it bled into his, you know, personal life. He said, my son's name is Denzel. Denzel, he kept little inwarding me. He kept making me feel like a little guy. He didn't use guy. I did. He said that he kept doing that to me. So finally I was like, boom, I'm just going to truncate the story. But when my son was born, I told my wife, we are naming my son Denzel because now he's my little guy. He didn't say guy. I did. Your thoughts, Trent? Come on.
I thought we left Columbus in Olivia Pope's parking lot in Scandal in season 6 or 7, wherever that was, because...
Well, this would predate Scandal.
But why even... Okay, here's the thing. What I gather from this whole thing is that Denzel knew that Columbus was not as good as he thought that he was, and Denzel was like, oh, so since you think that you the man, and you think that you all that, let me throw some stuff at you. And he got broke and he couldn't take it, and now he's pissed about it. That's all that happened. That's all this is. And I think that if Columbus would have went in a little and not as, you know, confident, but not thought that he was good as he thought he was, all this right here we wouldn't have, because he was looking for somebody to baby and coddle and hold, and he had this expectation that Denzel was going to provide that, and that wasn't that. I could walk into the room and knew Denzel wasn't going to give you all that.
I mean,
come on. You know Denzel is, come on, you already know he's going to get, you know what he's going to give you? He's giving you training day 24/7.
Nah.
Oh, sure.
No.
Sure.
No. I'm saying no from personal experience.
Yeah, but you know how I feel.
I know how you feel, but I'm telling you that is not the case.
I don't trust it.
When we come forward, we will have more from Trent the Artist, more trending topics, more headlines. Crystal Waite in the chat says, I think that Columbus was lying in that clip. I wouldn't be surprised, but it was certainly interesting. I mean, I don't know if I would admit that out in the open. But anyway, we'll get on to that. More trending topics, more headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank, any member FDIC.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
It's Jill Munroe. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Yeah, we were talking about Columbus Short, but I think we're done with that. I think
we have to move on.
That.
I think Columbus Short is done with Columbus Short.
Hilarious.
Because what are you even thinking? Like, why are you even naming you are obsessed with Denzel, and why are you naming your son after him just so you can try to have some craziness go? That is some emotional terroristic S if I haven't heard it before.
Really interesting, and I know Denzel probably doesn't even remember anything
Ain't
about
even
the moment.
Thinking about that man.
So in other news, Russell Wilson, that's Sierra's husband.
I was about to say, I know somebody that looks like him in my mind.
Russell Wilson, the NFL season is about to start in a couple of days. Well, actually, tomorrow. NFL Sunday is in a couple of days, but the season kickoff is tomorrow. It's a big deal. You guys are going to be locked in. At any rate, his head coach, Sean Payton, formerly of the New Orleans Saints, recently called out Russell Wilson for his lack of focus. And I have to wonder, is this healthy for the team and their relationship? Because it seems a little poignant. And I'm not saying this just because Russell's a QB or Sierra's husband or the star of the team. I'm saying that you're a new coach coming in. You already kind of went at Russ early in the summer, and now it kind of seems like we're swinging around to this again. So reportedly, Sean Payton said that he feels like basically Russ has a lack of focus on football when you compare it to all the things that he does regarding his personal brand and image. He said that, there's a mixed perception of him around as a quarterback around the NFL. He said that Wilson's off-field endeavors are sort of a hindrance and a distraction to his productivity on the field. He also said that in order to salvage his career, he needs to focus less on Russell Inc. and more on football. and this is in quotes. This is what Sean Payton said in quotes on a podcast, right? Will you stop effing kissing all the babies? You're not running for public office. That's a lot, right? Like, no matter if you're interested in football, no matter if you're interested in the team, right? It's one thing to critique your players, I feel like, and call out stuff and have conversations, but that seems particularly poignant and targeted. And that says, to me, right around the corner from the start of NFL season, that you don't particularly care for your star quarterback and you want some things to happen. I don't know if that's proper motivation for him, but I do think that it's a little mean. What do you think, Trent?
I just think that Sean Payton, I just had to Google him just to make sure that I had the face in mind. But when you're old and wrinkled up like that and your kids obviously don't like you, it's not cool to go out and attack a black man who is having a great time with his family and his wife and everything else. And I think the two are one and the same. Russell Inc. is football business. The two are go hand in hand. Without football, there would be no Russell Inc. And without the Russell Inc., there would be no football. So I think what the coach is very upset at is that we have a player who knows how to properly balance his life with work and everything else going on, still maintain discipline, still maintain his role on the team, okay? Because if he was really messing up or whatever, come on.
Well, here's the thing. He is coming off of the worst season of his career last year. And, again, new team, new experiences. That coach is now gone. He also signed an extension, $245 million, after he was traded from the Seahawks. So there is some pressure there.
And I was going to say there's an adjustment period because that was my next thing. There's a little adjustment period. But to go and attack somebody and then say that they're doing too much, time with kisses with the family, really leave the kids out of it.
No. He's not talking about his babies. He's saying
it don't matter. Any babies. Come on, we know what he's talking about here. Don't do all that.
He's
just
saying he's
just
acting
be cool.
like a politician, that he's out there being fake and trying to, have this image together.
I think that he's mad because ain't nobody, bowing down to him and kissing his butt, basically.
What I will say is that the Broncos were 5-12 last season for the regular season, and they finished last in the AFC West Conference. So, we'll have to see what happens with that. Sierra is pregnant with their third child together, fourth child in their relationship. And, I think it's an amazing thing. Forensic accountant says, sidebar, and Russell's auntie is still fine. Who's Russell's auntie? I believe who's that forensic accountant? He's related to someone that we should know? Or you just saw
Let's
her
find out.
And thought she was amazing. So, anyway, while Trent is looking into that, it's a lot of commentary going around. We are coming up in just a few short days on the, I want to say 27th anniversary. I don't even know if you should call it an anniversary, but the date when Tupac was shot in Las Vegas.
That's this weekend, right?
The 8th, yep.
Yeah.
And then he passed away on the 13th. So Alan Hughes was recently on Michael Rapaport's podcast. And they had a conversation about a particular MC that is a gazillionaire. He's iconic. He's legendary.
Not a billionaire?
A gazillionaire.
Okay.
A gazillionaire. That is iconic and legendary. That particular artist, again, didn't say any names, would not be at the top where he was had it not been for the deaths of Biggie and Tupac. He said, and I quote, "When you shoot the 2 A+ students in the class, the C student starts to rise to the top." He also said that the unnamed artist he said the unnamed artist.
That was a very clear hit. Like if you were around at the times, that's why I was like, ooh, I got that one very loud and clear.
Well, there's more. He said the unnamed artist, who hails from Brooklyn, has a tremendous work ethic, right? and that
you would have to be when you're the C student.
It helped him reach the heights that they ultimately did. And he says, and the C student is a working MF. He really got great, by the way.
Most Sagittariuses are.
Oh, we can have a conversation about that another time. Got really great. Brooklyn in the house. That Brooklyn work ethic is an MF. You know? So this has been conversation that's come up in time and time again. We realized that Jay wasn't who we believe Jay to be. And I do think that there was a space, there was a void obviously left when those two passed away within 6 months of each other. But is it fair to say that Jay would not have ascended if it not for them? Because I remember a time when Jay, DMX, and Ja Rule were all on top, talking about being a super group. Neither of them were the same, right? And they all coexisted. There were moments when one was a little ahead of the other, but they were all there. So what are your thoughts on that?
I would not necessarily say that, and this is what I like about 90s music and music from, 30 years ago. It was that there was enough room for everybody, and everyone stylistically had their own, input and their own sound and their own identifier. So there was enough room for everybody, essentially. And I think what happened is that when you had those incidents happen, there was kind of a space, and it's like whoever the best is at this point, it just kind of rises to the top, and we kind of just saw that happen. People rose and other people didn't.
Well,
I don't think that I don't think it's fair to make that assessment all the way, but I can see how somebody who was in the mix and on the ground and had a better POV than most people could say that. But I don't think that that's all the way accurate.
I think that, Pretty Brown Mimi has an interesting point, because I thought it was interesting that Alan had this conversation with Michael Rappaport, because Michael is somebody who at one point in time people might have invited to the cookout, but have since seemed to have changed their stance.
Never invited Remy to the cookout. When he's always been Remy to me.
When we come forward, we'll get more into Alan Hughes' comments surrounding a Brooklyn gazillionaire legend rapper and his thoughts around that. Plus, of course, more trending topics and headlines, more from our Keep It Real friend, Trent the Artist. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Federal prosecutors plan to indict Hunter Biden by September 29th on gun charges, according to a court filing. The president